we're going to list our top 5 Valentine's Day movies. And Valentine's just ended, so it gave us a lot of time to ponder what movies we would watch on Valentine's, way past Valentine's. So there are only a few rules. Number one, it cannot be a movie from a different season. So no horror Halloween films, no Christmas films, no Thanksgiving films, or no New Year films, stuff like that. It has to be either a neutral film, like as in you could insert any theme into it, or it has to be a romance or Valentine's Day film. And the next rule is it has to be a full-length film. It cannot be 30 minutes or an animated short or something like that. It has to be a full-length film, at least an hour or more long. Rock, paper, scissors over who gets to go first. 1, 2, 3, up. Okay, again. It has to be at the same time. 1, 2, 3, up. Okay. So I won, so I get to pick. I think you should go first.
Alright.
With your honorable mentions, work your way up to. After your honorable mentions, it's mine, and then your number 5, my number 5, stuff like that.
Alright, so my last honorable mention here was The Wrong Missy, which was, I guess, one of the latest romance films that I remember watching that is not absolutely related to family. So generally, the plot of The Wrong Missy is a blind date gone wrong. That's basically it. There's a little naughty stuff in it, so it's definitely for adults, but I enjoyed watching it. It's not as typically cringy as the other cliche romance films. But yeah, initially you would think it's a cliche romance film, but it's a little off that. And then of course another honorable mention would be Shrek. Who the fuck doesn't? Yeah, so Shrek, of course, one of the firstest romance films that I've watched, even though I was like, I think I was 3 or 4 when I first watched Shrek. Wait, when did Shrek come out? 2003? Am I correct?
early 2000s, basically.
Yeah. Because I remember watching it when we lived in an apartment back then. Right. That's that.
Alright. My honorable mentions. First one, it's a relatively new pick, is Crazy Rich Asians. And if you're coming from an Asian family, and we both do, it's a very relatable family film, but it's more leaning towards the romance side of romance films, but it has family elements that would cater to a wider audience as opposed. So if you don't like the cliche romance films, as you said, this film is still for you because a lot of people, especially Asians, relate to this film. And it's fresh. It's a fresh take on the romance genre. And my next honorable mention is Les Miserables, and this is a musical play turned film. I believe it was a play first or a movie first, I forgot. But it's a musical, and at the heart of it is sacrifice and love. So the characters, like during this revolution, they love their country, they love the people they care about, and at the heart of it is still a man who loves a woman, like that's the heart and soul of the film, and also a father figure who loves his adopted daughter. So like it's not your typical romance film, definitely not, because it's more than just like your cliches, but there's some family elements to it as well. I like it. The storytelling is amazing, and the musical scores are memorable. You should watch that.
Right. So my number 5 is Leave Them to Tramp. I could go with either the live action or the original cartoon from, I guess, 90s if I could remember it was. But that's where I sparked my interest for dogs. Actually, that movie sparked my interest with dogs, and who knew that lady from that movie is the same breed as my Yazzie.
Aww, so cute.
So if Yazzie was a little more brown or blonde, I guess the first thing I would have named her would be Lady. And yeah, it's a very cute film. It's a little suspensive, but it's nostalgic in a way. So that's why I like it.
And my number 5 is probably the odd one out of my list, is The Wizard of Oz. And this is a weird movie because even as a kid, like the idea of ending up in a place that was wildly different from your own was, ironically foreign to me. So it was a weird film, and even in this list right now, it's not really what I would call a Valentine's Day film, because there's hardly any romance in this, if at all. If anything, it's more of a friendship and adventure film. It's more about friendship and adventure and amazing musicals. Growing up with this film was amazing. It's like, when I think about Valentine's Day, it can also be sort of a journey into the unknown, or a journey into like taking a bit of risk, because like it's Valentine's, like you sometimes court people, if you're single, you maybe explore a new side to your partner and to the relationship or something like that. It's like that journey into the unknown, or journey into something new. I think, strangely enough, Wizard of Oz somewhat captures the essence of Valentine's Day for me specifically. It's great. That's why I love it.
For my top 4, another recent film I watched during Christmas, but it's not really Christmas related, is Coming to America, which features Eddie Murphy. So Coming to America is basically a very spoiled prince. He has come of age, so he has to get married, but he doesn't. It's an arranged marriage, and he's not about just marrying someone that's trained her whole life to be submissive to him. The plot is interesting. So of course there's a lot of bits of comedy to it. It's strictly an adult film again. Yeah, it's very sweet. The ending's very sweet.
My number 4. Picking up with my number 4. This is an older film. It's titled Somewhere in Time, starring Christopher Reeves. And this is a film, to summarize the plot, there is this lady who exists in a picture, like a very old, like sepia picture, and the character Christopher Reeves falls in love with this lady in the picture. So he decides that he wants to time travel to her time, travel back in the past to get to know her in person. And it's a very cute story and a heartfelt story that, without a doubt, made me emotional, especially that heart-wrenching ending. But I'm not gonna talk about it. Not gonna talk about it. It's very heart-wrenching. Even now, it's painful to talk about. So yeah, definitely a tearjerker for those who want to cry on Valentine's Day. Anyway, let's pick it up with your number 3.
Hey, speaking of tearjerkers, this is one of the first romance films I actually cried on. So of course, I let my mom download this film on my flash drive, and I watched it alone on the TV until what is it, 1 or 2 a.m. So this film is a Bollywood film. So of course, we know Bollywood. It's usually 3 hours long because of the musical incorporations. But the editing here doesn't kill your brain cells, thankfully. So the title is Shanti Om, which. So basically, it's a reincarnation story. So this guy falls in love, but unfortunately, he and the girl's fate ended up not too good for them. So in the next life, it's the guy that's only there due to reasons I do not want to spoil. So he's trying to make up for his love in that time. Very much a tearjerker, because imagine 3 hours of emotional 3 hours of scenes triggering your emotions and such like that.
Yeah. My number 3 is a weird one. It is Shaun of the Dead, which is one of the very first rom-coms. It is a zombie romance comedy, and it's a story about a life. We live in a society, am I right? It's a story about a man who is trying to get his act together. He's trying to get his life together. And so he has to, better his job. He has to better his situation, better his relationships with his parents, with his friend, his roommate, and especially his girlfriend. And he's trying to stop being a figurative zombie, because he lives in a world wherein it's completely fine to get by in life. As long as you get by in life, you get by in life, But sometimes the message of the film, without giving away too much, is that to truly live is to think about more than just survival, but about deep fulfillment. That's what makes living truly worth it. It's about fulfillment. And that's what the main character, Sean, has to learn the hard way. So yeah, it is a rom-com. The horror hits hard, the romance hits hard, the comedy hits hard. It's an impossible film because these are elements that contradict each other: horror, romance, comedy. But they all work together into a cohesive plot that I would personally show to my partner on Valentine. That's my number 3 pick. Your turn.
Hey, my number 2 is something we're both very familiar with. Is White Chicks.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's literally the first film, well, not really the first, but it's the first film we generally watched together, and we're very active with it.
Yeah.
Still have the clip of you lip syncing to 1,000 Miles. So yeah, it's a very memorable movie. We could make it a tradition to watch it every Valentine's if possible.
Amen.
And yeah, your number 2 will be.
My number 2 is, I think you guessed it, Shrek 2. That's my number 2 pick. Yeah, it's an amazing film. My God, it improves upon the original in so many ways. Doesn't quite capture the Valentine's Day essence as much as the first one for me, but narratively it improves upon so many aspects, and the self-awareness that the Shrek trilogy 1, 2, and Forever After, like the self-awareness that the writing and writers and the characters have, like it hits hard. And the romance elements of Shrek 2, this is a guy who is one of the strongest within his story, but is at the same time very much vulnerable emotionally. Dealing with a meeting the parents kind of story, and it's unfortunately it kind of suffers from the meeting the parents kind of cliches, but Shrek subverts them pretty well, I feel, and adds a very fresh take to not only animated movie genre but also romance film genre. So yeah, pretty good. Highly recommend it. Let's pick it up with your number 1. Drum roll, please. Drum roll.
My number 1 is Shrek 2.
Whoa! Yes.
What's there to add? You already said everything.
Oh, come on. There's gotta be something.
I mean, it literally starts with a love song. The tiny interlude just starts so cool. I mean, just married stuff, honeymoons and all that. I want that gingerbread house. Like, it seems so cozy to be in honeymoon suite like that. And just a sweet smell without the ants. And yeah, there's a lot of it switches between relationships between Shrek and Fiona, and then between Harold and Lillian, then between Donkey and his wife. He mentioned something, even though Dragon didn't appear there. She appeared at the last part, right? Yeah, if I remember.
I think she did.
Yeah, so there's a lot of talk about romance and relationships, which is very relevant for the occasion. That's my number 1.
And my number 1 pick is, drum roll, Shrek. Shrek took a lot of tropes from the Disney princess genre and flipped it on its head. I'm not a big fan of the Shrek that they're doing too. I think they focus too much on the subversion of expectations and not enough of the narrative. I think Shrek is very balanced, and all the more in Shrek 2. So yeah, I personally think that my favorite Valentine's Day film is Shrek 1. So yeah. So let's summarize our lists. Name your list from bottom to top.
So top 5 for me is Lady and the Tramp. Top 4, Coming to America. Top 3, Shanti Om. Top 2, we have White Chicks, and top 1, there's Shrek.
My top 5 is The Wizard of Oz. My top 4 is Somewhere in Time. Top 3 is Shaun of the Dead. Top 2 is Shrek 2, and top 1 is Shrek 1. I just noticed that my Shrek 2 is number 2 for me, and Shrek 1 is number 1 for me. I just realized that, like, just looking back on my list. But yeah.
Well, my Shrek is just Shrek 1 for me is just an honorable mention.
Yeah, I mean, it's good.
Hey!
Still in my list. Anyway, I think we did well in this Valentine's Day. Oh no, is that Shrek's ass coming to squish us both?